The Price of Silence. It was a long day on a long business trip that was fruitless thus far. Weary and wanting only a pillow to lay my head on, I trudged into the city hotel near midnight. The vestibule was grand and the foyer even grander. It spanned 2 stories with marble pillars in the center. Had I been more in the mindset, I would have snapped a photograph with my cheap smartphone. A gentleman sat on a couch opposite the check-in desk. I paid him little heed as he was hidden behind a newspaper with legs crossed. I noticed only his shiny loafers as he read the headlines. "Welcome to the Ultima Requiem," said the young girl behind the counter. She was cute and looked professional. She had a hint of tiredness behind her words. The golden tag on her blouse named her as Tracy. I walked up to the clean and opulent counter, sat my Samsonite suitcase and briefcase down and said, "Hello there. I'll be staying a few nights if possible. Would have called ahead but was busy." She typed on her computer a moment before saying, "We have a room available on the 12th floor. Would that be okay?" "Anything is fine," I said with a yawn. "What kind of business are you in?" she asked, clearly bored. I sighed, too tired for small talk, but I said, "I sell security systems." She smiled and said, "Long day? You have no idea." She checked me in and told me about the facilities of the Ultima Requiem. There was a lounge with a bar where I planned on spending my next night depending on how my meeting in the morning went. A pool, cafe, coffee shop, and gym rounded out the amenities of this impressive place. I took the elevator up 12 stories. Every wall in the elevator was mirrored and gave me a miserable look at myself. Contrasting with the hotel, my suit was cheap and I had bags under my eyes. The most expensive things I had were my luggage, and even those were loaned out to me from the company. If the business meeting went well, maybe I could upgrade my suit. It had to go well, in fact, as all my other meetings were met with disappointment. If I failed to secure this next client, I'd surely be unemployed. The elevator groaned and churned as it sped me heavenward. It finally stopped with a slight shudder and I exited into a long hallway. I stared at the room number directly in front of me, room 1216. I looked down at the keycard from my room to see which one was mine, room 1225. I walked out to my right and passed the same doors before I finally found mine. Sounded like there was a party going on across the hall. Whatever. It won't affect my sleep. So tired. The room looked like a small apartment, with a living space directly in the entrance of the room, a double bed further in, and a clean-looking bathroom behind a door to my left. Thankfully, the company was paying for me to stay here, as I would never be able to afford the Ultima Requiem. I stripped down to my boxers and fell into the bed. Within minutes, I was out like a light. By 2:30 p.m. the next day, I left the meeting with my last potential client on the business trip. They seemed receptive to my sales pitch. That is, until we talked prices. I walked out empty-handed with my head hung low. I've told the damn company they've charged too much. How the hell was I supposed to sell the unsellable? Maybe I was just bad at my job. I had 2 missed calls from the main office by the time the taxi took me back to the Ultima Requiem. I ignored them. It was going to take me more time and a whole lot of alcohol to get me used to the idea of not having a job. The lounge was made of several partitioned off sections with a bar near the entrance. It was dimly lit and the room was deceptively larger than it looked at first glance. There was synthesized music playing in the background. The stools at the bar were half full of patrons, some chatting to one another, others just enjoyed their drinks. I took a seat next to a heavy, bald man. His suit looked expensive. Good for him. A blonde girl was behind the counter, finishing with the customer before walking over to me. Her blouse was being stretched to its limits as she flaunted her cleavage. Gets her good tips, I suppose, but that's not why I was there. "What can I get you, hun?" she asked with a flirtatious smile. "Rum and cola," I said, fishing for cash out of my wallet. Enough for one drink. Great. She hastily mixed my drink in front of me as I contemplated my future. No money, no woman, no house. I was in it deep. Where would I go from here? She put a coaster down on top of the polished wood bar. Even it looked fancy, with the initials UR engraved into it, presumably for Ultima Requiem. She sat my drink down on the coaster and I gave her all my cash. $1 was for her tip. "Thank you, sir," she said, grinning from ear to ear before tending to other patrons. She was good at her job, because I could tell she was disappointed in a $1 tip. I slowly sipped on my drink as I grew more and more lost in thought. That is, until the portly yet tall gentleman sitting next to me nudged me with his elbow. I looked sidelong in his direction, frustrated that he interrupted my drink, but he had a knowing smile on his face. "Must be bad day to afford only one drink," he said, in a heavy Eastern European accent. My frustration subsided and I replied, "You could say that." "What worries you, friend?" he asked, sipping on a vodka on the rocks. At first I wanted to tell him, as politely as possible, to leave me alone, but maybe I needed someone to talk to. I said, "Well, I'm out of ideas. I'm out of money, more than likely out of a job. Now I'm looking for answers at the bottom of this glass." He chuckled and said, "Many answers at bottom of glass, but none will show you way." I raised an eyebrow and said, "Well, you're a genuine philosopher." His chuckle broke into a hearty laugh and he slapped my back so hard I almost dropped my drink. He said, "Hardly, friend, hardly. I'm Dmitri," then stuck his large hand out to shake mine. "Thomas," I replied while trying not to grimace from his strong grip. "What brings you to the Ultima Requiem, Dmitri?" He made a few vocal noises as he looked for an answer before saying, "Business of delicate sort. Wouldn't want to bore a new friend with boring business." I finished my drink and shrugged. "Fair enough. Well, nice to meet you, Dmitri. Good luck with your delicate business." As I got up to leave, Dmitri said hastily, "Before you go, I have proposition." "Go on." "You drink with me until bar closes, and I will buy." "What's the catch?" "No catch, no catch. Just want to pass time." How could I say no to free drinks all night? It was the only good thing to happen to me all day. So I said, "I'm no lightweight." Dmitri guffawed and said with a frank look of joy, "Nor I. Let's lament what could have been, eh?" I sat back down and proceeded to let Dmitri buy me drinks for several hours. I let him do most of the talking, as I soon found out his life was much more interesting than mine. He was born in Estonia, but lived in Moscow, Russia. He lived through the fall of the USSR, putting him older than I figured him for. He was an open book, except for when it came to his occupation. He kept shifting conversation when I would bring it up. This man was well spoken, even if his English was a bit broken. Other people had come and gone while we talked. Business people mainly, but I couldn't help but notice some grizzled and hard-looking men had taken up occupancy in a nearby section. I wouldn't have noticed them much if it wasn't for the fact that they were staring in my direction constantly. "Hey, see those guys over there?" I asked Dmitri, nodding towards the onlookers. "They've been watching us since they sat down." Without looking, Dmitri said, "They are nobodies. Do not worry, friend. Another drink?" Sure," I said, turning back to the bar. Alcohol was probably just making me paranoid. "As we were saying," said Dmitri, "plenty of fish in sea. Do not worry about Devochki." The more we drank, the more he dipped into his native tongue. I asked, "Devochki?" "Sorry, friend, do not worry about women. You will find love in time. I am in love. We are married. I will spare details, but she very, how do you say, passionate woman. Bird that cannot be tied down. Her passion has turned to other man. Very much scandal. I take much to anger, but I fear I blow up. You got yourself a home wrecker, huh? I said, putting more weight into the bar than I had when I first got there. Dmitri, who seemed unfazed by our increased rate of liquor consumption, sat facing me. It seemed like he was studying me. For the first time since I met him, however many hours ago, I was uneasy. It could be his brooding European presence, but something was off. I was kidding, Dmitri. Sorry if I offended, I said, not even sure if he was offended or not. He leaned in close with a serious look and said, "Would you like to know who Homewrecker is?" I did, but I'm not sure I do now, I said, leaning back as I could smell the vodka on his breath. He started laughing and leaned back violently in his chair, clapping his hands. Tears formed at the side of his eyes. He said while wiping his face, "Izvinite menya, friend. I kid. His laughter subsided before he spoke again. "I will tell you. He is one of my subordinates." "So he works for you?" I asked after drowning the rest of my glass. I looked around to get a refill, but the cute bartender was nowhere to be found. Instead, more men with suits were standing around the bar. In fact, the only other people in the lounge were rough-looking suited men. "One could say that, yes. He is a Blatok." "Again, Dmitri, I don't speak Russian." He chuckled, but this time more menacingly, before saying, "A soldier, if you will." Confused was an understatement. He went from not willing to give me any information to spilling his guts about everything. I said, "So he is a soldier under you. I'm guessing you're military?" "Not exactly, no. Thomas, I am Pakum, Papa, boss. I am head of Bratva in city." Before I could ask what Bratva meant, he said, "It means brotherhood, but you know it as mafia." I gulped down a lump in my throat. I suddenly felt hot and sweat ran down my face. The liquor was already making me flush, but now there was nervousness on top of that. Was he telling the truth? So did that mean everyone around us was mafia? "So, why did you want me to sit with you?" I asked, trying to choke down the sudden anxiety in my voice. "I like you, Thomas. You are a good man. Do not worry, everyone here is with me." "Oh, that's good to know," I said, feigning confidence. Two of the suited men brought over a smaller, more timid man. They held him by his arms and forced him into the stool next to me. He had a black eye and he shook in fear, especially after seeing Dmitri. Dmitri stood up, his stool groaning in protest from the sudden shift in weight. He sauntered between me and the scared man and placed his hands on both our shoulders. We both flinched as he touched us, but I had a feeling the other man knew why more than I did. "This is Franco, the Blatok." "Hello, Franco," Dmitri said with a smile. "Pожалуйста, позвони Ichi," Franco said. I'm not sure what he said, but it sure sounded like he was pleading. "As Pakum, I hold much power. Franco cannot help but challenge my authority. This I cannot tolerate." "This seems like your business, Dmitri. I don't think I want to get involved," I said. All hopes of trying to play it cool had gone out the window. "Oh, Thomas," said Dmitri, clucking his tongue against his teeth as if he were a teacher scolding a student. "You are involved because now I make you involved. You have told me about life problems, and I am giving man. I have another proposition for you, friend." What is it?" "You kill Franco. Right here, right now. You do this, and I give you $1,000,000 American dollars." I couldn't speak. "You refuse. I kill Franco anyways, and then you." "Say something," my brain kept shouting. Kill me? I thought we were cool." "We are, Thomas, we are. This is price of silence. I like you, but I am not tupoi. It is only business, friend." I took a deep breath before saying, "So, I kill him, and you pay me $1,000,000. Just like that." "Just like that." What's the catch? Dmitri chuckled, prompting his soldiers to laugh as well. He said, You are a funny man. The catch, of course, is you cannot tell of what you seen here. You do, and I will know. What the hell do I do? Needless to say, I was completely sober at this point. Grasping at straws, I said, Is this some kind of joke? All the suited men laughed except Franco, who shook like a wet dog. Dmitri reached into his suit jacket and pulled out a pistol. It was shiny and had pearl hand grips. He took out the magazine and showed that it had rounds in it before reloading it into the weapon. No joke, Thomas, is real, he said. Now, what is your answer? Either I die, or I kill another man and profit from it. The thing is, I always told myself, if someone was attacked in front of me, I would do something about it, try to be a hero. I never imagined a scenario where I would be part of the attack. If I agreed, what would that make me? Could I live with myself if I followed through? Perhaps not. But I would live, and not die in the ultima requiem. Deal. The next day I gathered my things and still ignored the messages on my phone. My briefcase, once full of sales pitches and business papers, was full of other types of papers, 1 million of them to be exact. I checked that it was locked a half-dozen times before I left my room. I yawned as I stepped into the mirrored elevator. I couldn't sleep, and my mind had not yet stopped racing. I looked exactly like when I first got to the hotel with bags under my eyes. If it wasn't for the money in my possession, I would have thought everything that transpired in the lounge was a dream. Franco's look of horror would never fade from my memory. A man, who looked suspiciously like one of the men in the lounge the night before, was behind the desk as I turned in my room key. He said, "Thank you for staying at the Ultima Requiem," as he stared through me. I cast my gaze away and exited the hotel. I would forever be changed by what I did.